Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next episode review for Anime Month, and of course this one will be uploaded on my birthday, so happy birthday to me. So for this birthday anime review I want to review is a one that I enjoy though, but although despite a couple of issues I have with it though, I still enjoy it. And I would say, as of the ones I've seen, I'd probably put this as my second favorite vampire anime. So I know there's other ones I've seen and liked though, but my favorite is still gonna be Hellsing Ultimate. That is still because I don't think anyone can top the badass of Alucard or of Seraph Victoria, which I enjoy her as well. But this one I was put as my second favorite vampire anime, and that is what called of Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign. And although it says season 1, I think it's they took because one is about 12 episodes, and another 12 episodes it was called Seraph of the End, Battle of something, I forget though, but I think they decided to match it all together as one season. But but of course, how the way this anime ends, of course, which is supposed to be a lead to another season, if you want to say technically as third season, though. Because, like I said, they split the second half of the season, which technically you say the second. It's called Battle of Whatever, right? But, of course, they left it on a hanger because there was still obviously more, because our main group of characters still have to fight, to rescue some people, right? And of course, since then, no other season's been attacked, so it just ends on a cliffhanger, as like some other animes I reviewed in the past. I hate when they do that because it makes us want to say, "Hey, what about Because we want to see what happens, So I hate when they do that, though. So yeah, another anime that ends on a cliffhanger as to what's gonna happen next, right? But I still like Seraph of the End. Anime ran through 2015, and because it's 24 episodes all at once. And the gist of the story is, we have our main character right here, goes by the Yuichiro, or you call him Yu for short, which I will call him for short Yu. He escapes because it kind of brings it's like in a way similar to Attack on Titan in a way. So it's like Attack on Titan sort of in a way, similarity wise, but this time with vampires. First, how it opens up with almost basically the world being end. Like, it starts like in the middle of busy Tokyo. All of a sudden, car starts crashing, an airplane all of a sudden just falls out of the sky, and people are just like dropping dead. Right, and the vampires pretty much take over the world basically and kill it. And this like sort of virus kills off like most of all the adults except for the children. They say like basically like under the age of 15 or so that are not affected by the virus. So pretty much the vampires are taking over the world, and especially for the young children, they're being used as livestock for the vampires. And we have this underground vampire type city, which I thought the animation, the background, how this city looked, it looks really well done, really tint blue type of way, really dark and gritty. And first, we're going to introduce our two main characters here, Yu and his best friend Miko, who are orphans, right? And immediately these vampires, you just immediately hate, they're just they're just sitting talking, right? And all of a sudden there's these two little kids riding chalk on the floor, right? Immediately these two vampires in hoods just walk in, and one steps on a kid's hand, not giving a shit at all. Not giving a shit at all. And even Yu sets her up, tries to step in though, but Mika holds him back. I mean, these vampires, like I said, they just don't give a damn about them because, like I said, they're just nothing but livestock to them, to feed food to them, basically. So they can just walk all over you, not giving a shit. And to the one day that when Mika plans to get you and the other orphan kids, which you calls him as his family, because you get a background that his parents hated him. You know, thinking he was such an he said he was such an evil monster, so they decided to just they got rid of him. That's why he was put in an orphanage before the whole apocalypse happened. And he looks to this group of kids, as orphans, as his family, right? So when Mika has a plan to escape from the city, right, out into the world, back into the world though, like he had a map and a gun. But it turns out, when it's leading almost towards the way out, though, it turns out it was a trap because they're vampires, but there's also these higher up vampires, like call them like the vampire nobles the vampire a vampire noble, right? One of the higher ups. One of the vampire nobles, by the name of Freed, right, or Freed. Tells him that he deliberately tricked Mika, and he goes and kills all the small orphan kids, sucking all their blood, and this enraged you a lot. Mika, he gets severely, basically mortally wounded or fatally wounded because he gets his arm cut off. He gets punched right through him, and then you gets the drop on Freed and shoots him in the head. And Mika tells him to get out of here, get out of here, which he does. But I think it's also this thing. It's all in vain because shooting him in the head doesn't work. Freed still gets back up, right? And these vampires are not the same kind of vampires we know, right? Like, they're not affected by holy water, garlic, crosses, not even sunlight either. Basically, to kill them is to stab them in the heart, and that's when they turn to ash. So they're not the typical vampires. Definitely not. And so we have another one of the lead vampires, like the rules of the country of Japan, by the name of Cruel, voiced by for the English dub. Which I always give credit to the Japanese voice dub, which the Japanese voice dub does a really good job, but also the voice dub as well, especially for our two main guys of Yu and Mika. But as I was saying, for the lead vampire of the Japan, by the name of Cruel, is voiced by Monica Rial. Monica Rial, who I mentioned a lot of times from voicing Aizawa from Maid-sama. Misaki Aizawa from Maid-sama, voicing in another, from Rosario Vampire, High School of the Dead. She's voiced in many animes. I've enjoyed Monica Rial. So she voices her, and this is and she gives her blood, gives it to Mika, and basically she turns Mika into a vampire. But he's not a complete vampire yet because he hasn't yet tasted human blood. He has to drink human blood to become a full vampire, so he's not complete yet, though. And that's why he's aged, because it takes place 4 years later, and that's why he's aged a bit more. But then when Yu escapes, it's snowing, and he runs into a few members of what was known as the Human Resistance, called the Moon Demon Army. And he's found out by one of the higher-ups, one of the ranking officers by the name of Gurin. Takes him in, tells him how he wants, you can join us, you can get your revenge on the vampires. So it's 4 years later, high school, which doesn't look ruined at all, though. Whereas it's high school training for recruits, right, for the army, right? And we meet one of the other main characters, by the Shinoa. Shinoa Hiragi, and for the English voice, she's voiced by Felicia Angeli. Angeli, they pronounce her name, which from also I remember her voicing. You see what there, Emi Yusa or Amelia the Hero in Devil's a Part-Timer. Yeah, so Amelia the Hero / Emi Yusa from Devil's a Part-Timer. So she voices Shinoe, and she's a girl that's always playing and teasing you a lot, and then meeting other classmates as well, meeting other team members as well, which I'll get to. But one of the couple issues I have with this anime is the first half of it. Like, I mean, I know it's a slow burn, right? It slowly builds up, you know, because they have to do with our guy Yu. He does the training with his cursed gear and among other things, though. But it starts up pretty slow, which I understand, though. But also the thing is, though, our character himself, Yu, he starts he's annoying at first. You know, most of the times all he does is just bitch and complain all the time. For the most part, though. For the first half, though, because the rest of the show, he has grown. He like redeems himself, and he grows more mature along the way towards the end of the show, right? So he does redeem himself in that way. So he doesn't become more like a whiny little bitch, or an egotistical bitch, you can say, because he's always going about at school. It's like, oh, I'm the strongest. You know, does nothing to get my revenge on the vampires. That's all I want, and I'm the strongest out of all of you, right? So he has that egotistical part of him. I think he's stronger than all of them. And so the character of Yu, you know, like I said, he starts kind of annoying and bitchy and mostly asshole most of the time. But it's when he redeems himself to his later throughout the next half of the series, where he's grown more mature, and he's not like that the rest of the series afterwards. So I forgive his character for going that way, because he's grown more, you know, right? So I come to like him for that, because of that. You know, so he gets over being such an egotistical a-hole, basically. Think he's always the strongest, but no, it's not that case. And because a lot of times, since he's always been on Revenge of the Vampires, you know, Gurren, he's like, oh, why did Gurren recruit me in the first place? But me with Shinoa, she's been assigned to him, right, and keep an eye on, make sure he makes friends and all that stuff. And like I said, for the trade, like the first half, next few episodes when they're training it in school and stuff, you know, gets kind of slightly bit boring, you know, but it picks up because there's an incident at school when a vampire attacks him at school. He tries to attack it, but then Gurren ends up killing it. So. But afterwards, they get more recruits. One of the ones is by the, he's kind of like a shy, a shy kid, Yoichi. That's how I think this is for his first name, Yoichi. He seems like he's a kind kid, right? But he also wants to get revenge on the vampires because when he was little, his older sister protected him. He was hiding under the bed when he saw a vampire kill his sister. Which we find out later, that vampire that killed his sister goes by the name of Lacus, who has purple hair, right? Who has purple hair. And there was one point where later on he sees the vampire because he kind of remembers what he looks like in the name. Because he overheard the name, and when he heard the name, he kind of sees the vampire that killed his sister. But the thing is, he never gets revenge on that vampire that killed his sister because the series... I think the reason why they didn't go make more further afterwards, because I think they said they ran out of material from the manga to go by of. So I think that's why they never continued afterwards. So, but yeah, like I said, this show ends on a cliffhanger with our surviving group, right, to go back to save the remaining of their loved ones, right, from the humans and still destroy the vampires. So, yeah. So our guy Yoichi, he never kills that vampire. and we'll never get to see that then. And then after him, we get the other character we meet of Shoho Kimizuki. He's like more because when he first meets our guy Yu, they butted heads a lot when they first met. But he's also like a smart guy as well, and he's in for because his sister his younger sister was sick, and she was constantly sick. I think she got that virus, and so the people, the army people, keeping her. So until they found a way to find a cure, I think it was, and so that's why he's also joined the place. And until our four main characters, well, for the weapons of choice they carry, they're called cursed gear. Like she's already got her cursed gear. Like she has one it's a weapon. It also contains a demon inside, right? Hers is the shape of a Grim Reaper scythe. And our three other guys, they go down to get their own curse gear, like Shiho. He gets his own curse gear. They're like twin swords attached, but they do that. They have to face they have to basically overcome their fears that they fear worse, right? Like with him is losing fear of losing his sick sister. And the demon inside that cursed gear tries to play mind games with them by pretending it's their loved ones, right? But he faces fear and he gets his gear. Yu gets this sword, like the demon inside. Takes on the impression of seeing plays the mind trick of him seeing his dead loved ones, including Mika. But eventually overcomes that. He gets his sword, and then with Yoichi. He had a little bit of trouble getting his curse gear because he had a little bit of trouble getting over the fear of losing his sister. But eventually he does. And he gets his curse gear, which is a big bow and arrow. And then eventually they go on their next mission. They're also added to the addition of their team by the name of Mitsuba, who's this girl who's been on the vampire extermination unit, which her cursed gear is like this big giant axe, and she has a thing about working with teamwork as well, because we have a flashback where she tries to do it by herself, but thanks to her lack of teamwork, right, her selfishness basically got her team killed. So she has to work on that, and that's why she joins in on the group as well. And basically, throughout this whole course of the series, is because Yu has, he misses his previous family a lot, though, how much that meant to him. But through the course of the series, he's come to terms of bonding with he calls his new family. Excuse me, with Yoichi, Mitsuba, Shiho, and Shinona. He come accepts them that they're his new family now, and they both have been through a lot. And they come to help. They'll help each other, and so that's why he says they're his new family now. And back with Mika, who's now a vampire but not incomplete yet, because he's struggling, with his urge to consume human blood. It's just sometimes he gets thirsty. He can't control it though, but he's able to temporarily sustain it because he's been drinking Cruel's blood. And you get this and I like this character Mika. I felt sorry for this guy, right? I felt sorry for Mika. Like one scene where he's walking through the streets of that vampire city, right? And he visits the old house where his orphanage family used to live, but now it's occupied by another group of kids. They see him as a monster, tell him to get out of here, and he doesn't say a word. He just turns on and walks away. Which I felt that was kind of an emotional scene. I felt bad for the character Mika because he's now become something that he is hated. He's acting a little bit cruel, cold, I have to say, but almost kind of want to lose his humanity because he's thinking humans are are bad now. Which turns out later in the series, though. But I felt sorry for the character Mika, which I liked him as well. And then as to skip ahead here, when you and Mika finally reunite together, they're shocked to see each other. They're still alive, and it shows how much they've changed since the last time they saw each other. How much they've changed, and the chemistry between these two. Yeah, I know they're best friends, but it's also a bromance as well. From how they talk to each other, how the way stuff is, it's definitely a bromance. And also one instance where Yu loses control. He has like this certain power, which turns out he was experimented on by the people in the vampire extermination unit, which is the higher up who leads this whole resistance is the leader of the Hiragi family, which is Shino is a part of, though, but she basically doesn't want any part of it. Her name doesn't mean anything to her. And basically, they've done human experimentation, which kind of takes a play like Attack on Titan. It's not only the vampires are bad, but it's also at the same time the humans as well. They can be just as bad and selfish and greedy, power hungry as well, just like vampires. And Yu has a special power they uses. What they were supposed to, that's what they call the title, the Seraph of the End. And he uses all that power, and he passes out. And you get that little scene where Shinoa is by his side in bed, kind of like Phyllis says that she has feelings for her. She has feelings for him. That's what he says. He kind of says, I've fallen for you. But she kind of does have feelings for you, but we don't see him kiss though. So, but just she has some feelings for him. And how much they said they'll always be with each other. The whole group is like they're a new family now. And there was another mission where they meet with some other new recruits to save some human hostages, and they fight against another one of the vampire nobles. But they didn't defeat him though, so they had no choice but to run away. That was part of their plan. And the guy Gurren, he gets captured, gets beaten up, and then they find out the leader of the whole entire human resistance. Basically, he's been experimenting on a girl, which I kind of figure, because this is what we saw I saw the character looks like. I'm like, oh yeah, he's been experimenting on Shiho Kozuki's little sister, who's been really sick with the disease. They were experimenting on her. Created this, I think it was another Seraph at the end, right? This whole thing to destroy the vampires once and for all. This whole big, huge creature. That kind of looks like an angel, but then it shoots out all these big, huge, different rods, right? I don't know how to explain those type of things, though, but yeah. Which I kind of knew. And then I think that the leader Hiragi, who has been kind of collaborating with the vampire Freed. Because Freed was given, we see an instance where we don't see the human figure though, but we see the vampire Freed been given a book of information to this one person. So, and afterwards, back with Mika, how they see how Yu has been knocked unconscious because he used his powers again, and this time where these two are alone together, they at an abandoned place, and Mika can't control his urge to consume human blood anymore. He tries to suck his blood, and but he's like. He said he wasn't himself. So he stopped himself, and these two banter between each other. Right? If you don't drink my blood, I'm gonna start crying. I enjoyed the chemistry these two had with each other, and eventually, Mika gives in. He sucks Yu's blood. And now he becomes a complete vampire now. His eyes change from blue to the blood red eyes. That's what the color of the vampire's eyes are. So he's now a complete vampire now. he tells the humans are using he was experimenting. The humans have experimented on other people, right? And then it comes toward the scene at the airport where the leader, the Hiragi, used that experiment on Shoho's girl, his sister, which he was shocked to see that she wanted to be experimented on. Killing other innocent people, including vampires, but also innocent people, including members of the own Moon Demon Army. And then basically one time, like, he conjured up, like, his talking with his demon sword, right? Used that power that power he had, the other Seraph of the End power, right? And he defeats that creature. Doesn't kill his Kimizuki's sister. Doesn't kill her though. So, but they eventually defeat her though, but doesn't kill her. And by this time, Gurren, he's now been possessed by his own weapon, which takes in the form of his ex-girlfriend, which I think it was Shinoa's sister. I think he said it was her sister. I think, and I think it also was Gurren's ex-girlfriend. I think it was. So the demon taking the form of that though, and he's now been possessed, and now he's now working with Hiragi, the leader, right? And how the show ends, it ends with the because Freed now he kills Cruel because she kind of helped like Mika escape, and she dies, and Freed kills her, and now he's like the leader of that army of the charge there, and now like the underground city the underground vampire city has been captured, remain vampires, and the leader Hiragi and Gurren, the possessed Gurren, tells them what's next to their plan. And then another vampire leader comes in. Looks like a child comes in, and it's 4 months later. So the remaining of our lead characters, Yu, Mika, and the remaining of the characters are all in a group now. They're going to go back to the city and save Kimizuki's sister and even save Gurren, because Yu wants to save him because he's the guy who saved him and doesn't think he's like that though. So he wants to save him as well, and it ends with them walking on the beach, walking back towards the city. And that's where it ends. So yeah, so sadly though, there's been no other updates or another season after this, so the series ends on a cliffhanger like that, so we'll never get to see how they rescue Kimizuki's sister and Gurren, and what they're going to do about the leader, Hiragi, or the other vampires, right? Because Yoichi never got a chance to destroy that vampire that killed his sister. So they didn't get any of that, though. So, like I said, I think they ran out of material. I think that's why they didn't continue on. So that's another issue I have with it. Like, the first time, like I said, with Yu, he becomes annoying, bitchy, and a-hole, right? But he's been forgiven because I think he redeemed himself throughout the rest of the series. He really got more mature and all that stuff. And especially when he gets reunited with Mika, they both, especially the chemistry they have with each other, the bromance you can say, was pretty good. And I liked Mika. I felt sorry for the guy, becoming something that he hated. Trying to resist the urge to consume human blood, but eventually he does because his friend wanted him to. Because he says, "I don't care if you are a vampire or not. You're you still." And for the fight scenes, the animation when it comes to the fight scenes are really well done, really well animated. The fights, I can understand what was going on, very clean, you can say. And one thing I can say about it is the soundtrack in this, especially when the fight scenes happen, like you get these songs are playing for the soundtrack when the action scenes are happening. I thought the soundtrack was pretty good, very good, I would say, very very good soundtrack. And it's well animated, especially for the fight scenes. That both Japanese and English dub were pretty good. As I like the for the lead characters, like I mentioned, Felicia Angeli, who voices Shinoa, from Devil's a Part-Timer. She does a good job. Justin Brenner, who voices Mika, he does a good job, and Mika Sold, who voices Yu, he does a good job too, and the other remaining voice cast does a good job. Like Ian Sinclair voices Kimizuki, which I've heard Ian Sinclair's voice dub in other animes as well. He does a good job. Monica Reel, I mentioned Monica Reel as well. So the English voice dub was good too. Like I said, the animation, especially the action scenes, are very well done. The soundtrack I thought was pretty good, especially with this one. When the action has the songs, you hear these songs playing. Our character growth, especially for our character Yu, like how he accepts his new group as his new family, even though he misses his previous family, but he now accepts the group he has now are his family now, his new family. And especially now he's been reunited with Mika as well. And yeah, I thought Seraph of the End was a very well done vampire story. Like similar to Attack on Titan though, but with vampires. And it's too bad we'll never get another season of this, because all is now we just get to leave it up to our imagination to see what happens, what happens at the end. Which is too bad. I know an anime that ends on a cliffhanger that nothing happens after that, I hate when they do that. But like I said, I think they ran out of materials or the manga to go by. That's one thing that why they stopped and never did anything else after this. And as for also what a positive thing is, the opening and the song, especially for both the ending and the OP and ending, was pretty good too. Especially for the song and the opening. And as for the animation for the opening as well, was pretty good. So yeah, Seraph of the End, I thought it was another good, I would probably say that I put this as my second favorite vampire anime. Like I said, Hellsing Ultimate. I think it's still my favorite of the vampire anime though. But I think I put this as, I'll probably rate this as second. But I would have to watch the other ones like Vampire Night or Vampire D or Blood. Although I like Dance in the Vampire Bund. I reviewed that long ago, Dance in the Vampire Bund. That was a pretty decent one. But yeah, Seraph of the End, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, it was kind of slow at first in the first half though, a slight bit boring. But towards the other half of the series, it was when it starts picking up. It did. But sadly though, we never got another season after this, so we'll never know what happens. I hate when they do that though. But anyway, that's my review for Seraph of the End. This is for my birthday anime review. Once again, happy birthday to me. Yep. But good. If you haven't seen Seraph of the End, or if you're a fan of vampires for the anime, give this a watch. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think of Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign? So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next anime review, and we'll see y'all later.